Okay, in my last video, I told you that I had GSDF superpowers. GSDF is short for gluten, dairy, sugar-free, of course. Well, I do have GSDF superpowers, but it has not always been this way. In fact, up until a few years ago, GSDF was not even a concept or an idea. See, back then, I ate what I wanted when I wanted. My body was huge, and it seemed to keep spreading larger and larger till I finally gave up. I mean, it wasn't really my fault that I loved those breakfast biscuits with egg, cheese, and bacon from the local fast food franchise. Nor was it my fault that I considered cheese a suitable substitute for meal. I was a woman after all, and my fellow women sisters all believed the same. Yes, I hated my weight. I did not eat much, but I also did not eat right. In fact, I found out later I was starving myself fat. I know it sounds like a weird concept, but I was not only not getting enough nutrients in my body, but not enough actual food to give me the energy I needed to make my metabolism work right. So in the middle of this yo-yo back and forth, my doctor explained to me that I needed to be gluten, sugar, and dairy free. So I did. Okay, yes, I argued with him for days. Yet in the end, my health and my life were more important. I learned all that I could about gluten, sugar, and dairy, what it does to the body, how it affects every one of our bodies, and much more. I felt like Miss Smarty Pants. My grandmother used to call me that sometimes. I thought it was a compliment, but now I'm not so sure. Anyway, I learned so much and organized my life so well with all my new systems and my new recipes and all that knowledge that I had decided I had mastered the topic. But then something horrible happened. It came right out of the blue and put little Miss Smarty Pants back in her seat. Before I tell you what happened, I have to tell you what led up to it. See, I'm a super competitive person and I'm an overachiever, even when there's no one to compete with. You got it. I compete with myself in those cases. So as I was adjusting to my new life without bread, cheese, and cake, I was designing systems and techniques to manage my new lifestyle. First, I challenged myself to rewrite all of my recipes in both of my cookbooks and make them GSDF. Not only that, but they had to taste good and use normal ingredients. Not that weird expensive stuff that makes my eyes roll when I hear about it being used. Now second, all of the recipes needed a prep time of 15 minutes or less, because that's how long I could stand in the kitchen before my back starts spazzing. Third, I would have to be able to pass these recipes off at dinner parties to folks and not let them know they are GSDF, and they would have to not notice, but they would have to love the meal. See, I'm an overachiever, competitive person. In fact, every Wednesday became guest night. Now, this was not my idea, but my partner's. He even got to choose who came. It did not matter if I knew them or not, if I liked them or not. I had to be nice and feed them. Yeah, having to be nice to them was another one of the rules he added later, but that reason's a whole nother story. Anyway, so 2 people a week would show up at 6:30 for a 7 p.m. dinner. I never knew who was coming. The dog walker down the street, the coffee house guy, the checker from the store, the butcher, my neighbor. I did very well in these challenges. The dinner guests raved about the food and asked for the recipes and usually were shocked to find they were GSDF. Since I was doing so well with all 3 of these challenges and my brain was full of new information, I got a little cocky. Yes, Miss Smarty Pants was in the house again. You really wouldn't like her much. She tends to think she's always right. Well, who's to say she's not? But back to that horrible thing that happened to me coming out of the left field. Never understood that saying. Why just left field? I digress. Okay, I believe myself now to be a top expert at knowing everything GSDF. Yet, if I could have peeked past that ego, I would have noticed. I got super duper sick out of the blue. Stomach cramps, fever. I wanted to vomit, shakes. Felt emotional. I was fatigued. Do you get the picture? I did not know where some of the hidden dangers were in my food. That simple. I knew what was in my food, but not that gluten, sugar, or dairy was hiding in strange places. For example, like milk products in some of the canned tuna and those tubes of herbs, or that there's gluten in some dried herbs, or that there's even gluten in that adhesive of the envelope I just licked. My body had to go through another detox, and I did not even do it on purpose. I can only imagine that if it happened to a mother's child, how hopeless she would feel, thinking she was doing the right things, making a tuna dish, only to have it make her young child sick. Kids don't have the words to explain sometimes like adults do. Though when I got sick that time, I spent most of my time moaning or in tears also, but hey, that's just me. So I went on a hunt to find the the hidden toxins in food. I found tons. I also found out what happens when you detox off these ingredients. In fact, last year I taught a small version of my GSDF basics class, and this is one of the sections, and it was wildly popular. If you know where toxins hide, you can avoid getting sick. I also suggest not letting Miss Smarty Pants run the show. There's always something new to learn. I simmered down and got busy learning exactly where things hid, even if they did not make sense to me why they would be hiding there. Step by step, I created menus and prep lists and recipes and lists of toxins and so much more. I was no longer stressed out, confused, or sick. I still want to tell you my bright idea that I have, the one where I decided to do something even better. I decided to make a big splash and make it easy. Yes, easy. But the story took too long to tell right now, and I have a new recipe I need to pull out of the oven. So I will finish my story next time and tell you about my new big idea to make things easy.